welcome to the Melanated Perspective. I am your host, J.R King.
And I'm your host, Natasha Jonelle, and this is the Just the Two of Us edition. We're back for part 2 of Identifying Love.
That's right. We're going to start this episode off by talking about agape. Agape is the godly love, the unconditional love. I feel like the human race is starving for this kind of love. I feel like this kind of love right here can really just fix our entire world. I feel like if we just understood the true meaning behind what this word really stands for, and we just put this into practice, it can just change so much. We can just start by looking at each other every day with love, unconditionally. I don't want anything from you. I don't need anything from you. I just love you as a brother, as a neighbor, and forgiving that person the same way. We're all human. We're all going to make mistakes, but the godly love inside of us, the unconditional love, will always allow us to forgive and forget. I think that is missing so much in our community, in the world, period.
I agree. It definitely is something that a lot of us are missing. I've even heard pastors say they don't even feel like they have that type of love, and it's still inside of them. It's I look at agape as the foundation of the loves of each one, because you need something that will give you something to identify, to be able to find yourself in the other types of love. This is more of the ultimate type of love, like you said. It's the forgiving. It's allowing someone grace, in your life, and understanding that they could possibly not even meant to have caused you pain, but you were just a part of their life at the time when they were going through their pain. But you're willing to see this and still love them and respect them, and it gives you the ability to see yourself in another light, to see others in another light, and understand that we're all human. What we're humans, spirits having a human experience, right? And I was able to identify this for the first time, I feel, in my life, looking at my grandmother. It didn't matter your color. It doesn't matter where you come from. She would just love you with open arms. And that's where I always had it instilled in me through her, and how she looked at the world. And she felt like she looked at it through God's eyes. And this is how before I even knew what agape was, I've identified with it my entire life. So it's easy for me. It's easy for me to forgive. It's easy for me to just love unconditionally. It's been instilled in me my whole life,
Right. Well, I don't really think any of us can say that we really practice agape kind of love, to be honest. Disagreements and bad times happen, but what happens if someone murders a loved one of yours? Agape is totally forgiving that person and loving that person the same as you love your brother and sister, regardless of what they've done. It's unconditional, unjudgmental. It's nothing that person can do to stop you from loving them. So when I talk to, I have a cousin who's a bishop in New York, and I talked to him about this kind of love. And this kind of love right here, it may seem impossible, because as of right now, who I am, I don't think I can look at somebody and be like, dang, you murdered my brother, auntie, sister, whoever, and then say, I love you the same way the next morning, unconditionally. I don't think I have that inside of me right now. And I really don't see myself getting to that point right now. That's something I would like to work towards. But just to be honest with myself, it's certain things that you can do to me that I'm gonna want retaliation. You know what I'm saying? I'm not looking to unconditionally love your ass for nothing, you know.
Right.
But that's kind of what we have to try to do, though. You know, that's what the agape love is asking us.
I see that. You know, I can see how something so detrimental happening and you want having to turn around and forgive and love that person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but when I look at it is there are many different types of people out there that we're going to encounter. And just because you're feeling like you can take my loved one from me, because people do it all the time. They're out here killing and feeling like they can take lives from people.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned over time that we're still all deserving, though. And I think that it's possible. It's possible to continue to love. It's a choice to do so, and it's all right for us to take our time to get there if that's our focus and our goal to get there, then we get there, you
Right.
know. Again, because I had identifiers of what that looked like, and even though pain has been caused to me on a lot of occasions, pain has entered into my life
Mm-hmm.
that at some point I felt it was detrimental to me. But I still learned to forgive and still love unconditionally.
Right. Well, I actually have an example to use. Uh, so when I was 6, my father was killed by my cousin. So the story goes, they were out drinking, hanging out, playing cards or whatever. Two brothers got into a argument. One of the brothers pulled a shotgun on the other brother. My dad jumped in the middle, shot him in the chest, killed him within minutes. Okay, so I had to grow up with the fact that my cousin, they ruled it an accident. So he only did a day in jail. So I had to grow up around him. So growing up, I hated this guy, you know, with all my heart. But growing up, you know, I had to figure out how to forgive and move on, you know, and I feel like that's when you have to practice that, your agape kind of God. I mean, agape kind of love. You would have to display that at that time. And I don't feel like it's no process to offer to anyone.
Right.
I think that it's just a natural thing that people got to learn how to get through things. But there's
It's a
no way to
process.
teach a kid, you know. So I was 6 years old when that happened. So I had to grow up through preteen years, through teenage years, through young adult, trying to figure this part out. And there's really no one there to ever tell you, hey, this is how you process something like this. This is
Right.
how you should. In the black community, I feel like it's the opposite. It's more like, well, if we don't talk about it, it didn't happen.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? You're not taught how to process your feelings and your emotions. And if we had more of that to process this stuff, then we'll learn how to display more of that godly love. We'll learn how to deal with our emotions earlier.
I agree. That's major. Being able to manage your emotions, because I'm gonna be honest, that's something that I just acquired a few years ago, and probably not even a few years ago, because still working on it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but just acquired the knowledge that I needed to work on it, though, you
Right.
know. And you have to be able to identify with those needs, or you have to be willing to see yourself in these moments that you know you need to focus on these.
Mm-hmm.
That self-awareness kicks in with this big time, because we need to know what we need. A lot of us, we know we want and we know we don't want. Well, most people know what they don't want. Everybody always tell you what they can't do and what they don't want, and rarely ever know what they want and they need, right? So being able to identify that you need to work on that, I realized I needed to work on it, right? And it's all a process. We're all going to go through the process at different times, but being able to identify that process and help others is the importance of what we're doing today, because you went through your process differently, because life happened to you a whole lot differently than life happened to me. But we still had to go through the process.
Right. We still got to go through the process.
Agape is, just long as it's something that is a focal point of your life, you're going to attract it to you because you want to practice it.
Right. I think the only example I've had of unconditional love towards me growing up would have to be my mom. So it was nothing that I could ever do that would make her change her mind about how she looked at my sister and I. So if anybody would know me, I was a terrible kid. You know, you hear the stories about me, I was bad as hell. You know, I was so disrespectful towards everybody. But it was nothing that I could do that ever made her look at me like that, though. You know, in her eyes, I was always her baby boy, and I never got anything different. So that would be the only thing I ever can say I had as close to unconditional love as I ever had, I should say. You know, everybody else I ever met in life, it was always terms and conditions to love. It's always terms and conditions, you know. So I have to benefit someone to gain their love. So for example, in a relationship, there's things you got to do to make that person fall in love with you. And then there's things that you got to continue to do to sustain that kind of love that you're getting, you know?
Right.
And if you fall off for a man, if you fall off and can't work for a couple of years because you fall sick, you got to ask yourself, is your lady really going to stick by you? You know, is it really unconditional love? You fall and get sick for a couple of years and your dick in the dirt. You know, what happens? Is that unconditional love or not? And most of the time it's not. It's terms and conditional kind of love. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, there are people that are going to find that, as we sometimes like to call them, soulmate. And then as we learn, they're soulmates and then they're twin flames. Because maybe at one part of our relationship, you had to love me through agape to help get us through. You know, there are parts in our relationship where I had to love you through agape to get through. We had to be that for each other, though. You know, and as we continue to be that for each other, we push that outward now, because now we need to show that it can be done across the world, you know. And this, of course, again, is a wonderful platform to go ahead and help identify with these things so that these tools can be used for others to be able to progress. We are not coming here as if we're perfect, but we're coming imperfectly, perfectly us. You know what I'm saying? And being able to show others.
Right.
So they can have something to strive for.
I apologize for cutting you.
It's cool.
I'd like to offer another perspective on this.
Okay.
Another way to look at agape love, we're talking about loving one another and maybe the lack thereof, but we yet to speak of the love for God unconditionally. It's the love for God unconditionally, you know. Have to love God 100% with your heart, your mind, your body, and your spirit, you know. You got to be thankful. I'm learning right now how powerful the word gratitude is, you know. Thankful to my wife, of course. She pounds it in my head. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude.
Wake up every day in gratitude.
Yeah. Say it 3 times like Beetlejuice, goddammit. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude.
It's important to have it because it's your appreciation. just like you said, God's love. God loves you enough to wake you each day. I mean, off the rip, saying gratitude. Now, when I rise, I speak it. I say it gratitude. When I finish my meditation now, I seal it gratitude. I mean, you're waking up as God's gift to the world every day. You're God's gift to the world every single day. And live your days in gratitude, because that gives you the ability to understand that you have to appreciate the journey.
Yeah, you have to. You have to be thankful for everything that you have. I think sometimes we get focused on what we don't have. We don't give enough. My wife would say gratitude for the things that we have, the things that God blessed us with, you know, the opportunities that He gives us. You know, I'm thankful every day. I'm thankful every day for my family. I'm thankful every day for my kids, my wife, you know, the things that just God blessed me with. I'm thankful for the abilities that He gave me, you know.
Right.
I'm thankful for my ability to touch people, my ability to reach people, you know. I'm realizing now my growth, people look at me a certain way when I talk. So that's my job, and I think that's my duty to God to own that and share my message, you know, and share with the world what He puts inside of me. I think that we should move on to the next one.
Definitely.
There's a lot on that one. Why don't you introduce the next one for us?
So the last of the four that we're going to cover is called Storge, or it could be pronounced Storge. Storge is your parent to child love. It can be motherly love. It can be sibling love. It could be the father to child, mother to child. You know, it's that immediate, intimate type of love, familiar wise, family wise.
That's right. I spoke about my mom earlier and the kind of love that she displayed throughout my life. I don't really think you could put that kind of love into words, especially when it's not there anymore. You know, the appreciation for it goes through the roof. You know, of course, but I would like to highlight a different kind of love that really doesn't get talked about that much, and it's the father love to a kid. You know, I think that when we talk about siblings, when we talk about parents, most of the focus naturally goes towards the woman and what she provides for that child.
Right.
And respectfully, you know, she always deserves it. You know, this conversation won't be to take that away from her at all. But, you know, sometimes I think that the fathers get left behind and they're not appreciated as much. You know, I've been through a couple situations to where, you know, I felt that way being a father. You know, I didn't start out as a great father, you know, at all. I had my first kid at the age of 16. You know, so a child, you know, giving birth to another child, we were both 16. So there was no way possible for me to understand what I was getting myself into and be prepared for it, you know?
Right.
So for me to say I was a good father my whole life would be a lie. But I gradually got better. And one thing that drove me was the fact that I didn't have my father, you know? So I vowed to never let my kids go through that. So that's what drove me as a father all of these years, to keep getting better. So I can display what I thought that I was missing as a young man growing up, because he wasn't there. So that would be my story of that kind of love, you know. From a father's point of view, I think it's different, and I think it really needs to be addressed a lot more. You know, I feel like there should be a lot more programs for fathers, you know, to bond with their kids. I know I spoke of the situation, and I don't want to keep babbling, but, you know, the custody thing that we went through.
Right.
You know, a father will have to battle to show his love. A father will have to battle the mother just to see his kid, to prove to his child that he loves her. You know, he would have to go through all kind of obstacles, and tests and all of this, and then she has a whole system behind her
Right.
to enforce that. So that has
Great
to be
point.
highlighted, you know, all that extra effort that one has to put in just to show the child, hey, I'm here, I'm loving you.
Right. Fight
You know?
for it. I always have to, the father has to put in a lot of fight just to be honest with you, to even have rights that he has a child brought into this world.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people, a lot of men out here who are having, getting women pregnant and they're not there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have those like yourself who have to fight just for their child to have the last name, to be in their life without the drama, to just love, nurture, take care, spend time with their child. You're more than a paycheck, right?
Right.
And that's pretty much what our system has been built on. And that's something that I identify with. Again, I was raised totally different. So when I'm coming into this situation, I'm looking at it like this is not right. You know,
Mm-hmm.
how does this work? So you get your kid, and because you don't want to deal with the mom, or there's someone else in your life, you can just keep the baby from them. I'm gonna tell you, I have my kids. I have two fathers of the three of my children. Not one time did I remove or keep my kid. I please spend time with your child because it's imperative. Because I remember growing up how much I just wanted my father's love.
Mm-hmm.
I speak a lot about my grandparents, but that's where we spent most of our time with when it was time to go spend with my dad, right? I had days where he did spend some time with us, but you know, maybe it wasn't as much as I felt like I needed. My dad back then, he wasn't the loving father all the time. He didn't really make a lot of time for us. And when I seen you and what you wanted with your children, um, it was something that I knew I've always wanted, and they were lucky to even have a dad that wanted them, that
Mm-hmm.
wanted to spend time with them, that wanted to raise them, like in the same house.
I like to point out that how earlier, I made the joke about, it being, conditional love most of the time. But we have to understand, even though it's family love, that's also conditional.
Right.
So what happens to a lot of fathers is, so let's just say, for example, I use myself an example again. So the first custody case that we went through, it was mostly because I had met you.
Right.
We was getting serious, things were moving pretty fast, and all of a sudden I can't see my child anymore. So before I met you, I was living in Atlanta. For a backstory for everyone, I was living in Atlanta. Um, and I would send some chicks that I was messing with from Atlanta to my daughter's school to pick her up and bring her back to Atlanta. And my baby mom was cool with that, you know? But when I got serious with you, it changed. So let me tell you what happens for a guy. So now I'm faced with the fact, okay, now I can't see my daughter right now. So I have to choose between this woman that I've met or my child. So what happens inside the guy at that time, she's forcing him to choose, between his heart,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll get to the point to where if that happened for years, some guys just choose him themselves. I'd rather love me because it's just too hard. I'm having to go through too much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So to get back to the story, if you wasn't there at that time, I don't think I would have made the choice to go through the court system to be like, I'm going to fight this. It would have been easier for me. At the same time, remember, I was facing the felony case.
Right.
I was facing prison time, and I'm fighting to see my daughter. So I'm going through two court cases at one time. I don't think I would have chose to fight both of them at once. I think I would have quit. I would have quit. I would have decided it's easier as a young man. I was around 22, 23 at the time. It's easier for me at that time to just live my life.
Right.
You know, I could just live my life, focus on beating this Fed case, and then I can goddamn get on about my business. You know, I can just move and start over again.
Right.
But having you by my side, I was like, nah, I'm gonna fight this. Is knowing I'm gonna leave my kids like this.
Right.
But some guys don't have that support system to fight through those times. And then what happens is the kid look at the dad most of the time. The mom is gonna put that in the head. Your dad wasn't shit. He wasn't here. He wasn't there. He ain't do shit. And the whole time he's been kicking child support, and he's been goddamn trying to get through to the kid, but she's Heisman trophying his ass every time she gets a chance. So the kid grow up thinking, Daddy don't give a fuck. Daddy don't care.
Right. We actually, with your oldest son, that was literally the entire situation where you were unable to see him. We couldn't talk to him. It was all only at her convenience and only with money, child support. And you literally missed that child's entire life. The entire life. I mean, just the struggle with the first one was with custody, but to have your at that time your son,
Mm-hmm.
and he's your oldest son, and you don't even know anything about him. You didn't have any inkling of anything of how you could have been some type of father in his life. You never even had the opportunity.
That's right, I didn't. But look, I don't blame them. We were young.
Right.
You know
Definitely.
what I'm saying? We were so young. The only regret I have is the only thing that I would change is I wish I would have waited later. And I would have knew how to handle the situations better. They would have known how to handle the situations better. So now at this age, I don't hold it against them. But I would like to shine another perspective on this conversation. Okay. I think would be pretty cool. It's a love for your kids when they get older. That's also conditional. And I think that it's worth a conversation that I think is a parent's choice when to cut that off. We love our kids all the time. But when is it okay? So let's just say we raise our kids the best that we could.
Right.
And as parents, we work with the situation that we're giving at that time. So right. Sometimes it ain't the best situation, but we make that shit happen, right?
Right.
So we try our best for our kids, but some kids act out. Some kids, it ain't because of your parenting, it's just because of that kid. They go down a different path.
Right.
When is it okay for a parent to step away? And we can love them, but when is it okay for a parent to say, you know what, I gotta love me because this child is bringing me more harm than good right now.
Right.
I've loved you all that I can love you right now. Now we need to reconvene this thing later.
Right.
You need to live a little life away from me. Is that okay and is that accepted?
Well, I think society, if you give society the option to weigh in on anything that you feel, it's going to always go against that, because that's the narrative of especially every Black family. Oh, I'm never going to turn my back on my baby. They can smoke crack, steal everything in the house, shoot up John down the street, and I'm still going to love him. I'm still going to... No, that's BS. That's BS. You're keeping your kid from growing and developing because you're becoming a crutch. And should you sacrifice stressing yourself, your health, your mental wellness? That's unfair. That is unfair. In order for you to be your best self for your child, you have to take care of yourself first. For you to be your best self for anybody, you have to take care of yourself first. There are many things that I've realized in being a mother, a young mother, having my kid 2 days before my 18th birthday. Don't know what to do in this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I raised my kid the best way I knew how.
Right.
And then it was every 2 years I was having a baby. I stopped at 3, but it was every 2 years that I had a baby. So now I'm a young mom with 3 kids. And I had to raise them the best way I knew how. Like now, I would tell myself, well, I am who I am right now. And now I understand what I need to do to be a better parent.
Mm-hmm.
And I can offer those lessons to my children, but it's up to them if they want to receive that lesson. And then we can still grow our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, it's a choice. Once your kids get to a certain age and they out here making conscious choices,
Mm-hmm.
then you should be able to make a conscious choice too. Fuck what anybody else think.
I agree 100%. I don't think we got to sacrifice ourselves 100% for our kids. Like you said, through a certain period of time, then yes. But at a certain age, after 16, 17, 18, 19 and on up, you get less and less of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I get to choose how I love you at that point. Now, I'm always going to love my kids unconditionally.
Right.
That's like a core love that I'll always have.
Right.
But the love that I give out is very conditional. And it comes with terms and details and shit.
God grants us all with discernment.
Mm.
When you go through life and you take the time out to learn yourself, you learned your boundaries in life too, though.
Mm.
And everybody you encounter that loves you unconditionally will respect your boundaries, whether it's your spouse, your child, your parents, your co-workers, your uncle, cousin, sister, brother, them. It don't even matter. They should respect your boundaries.
Right.
And if your boundary is disrespect, and whatever you've brought to knowledge of how you identify with disrespect,
Mm-hmm.
then that's your boundary. And as a person,
Mm-hmm.
you should be able to have a boundary, and it's okay.
I agree. I think that is right. Perfectly said. Yeah. I just think that we've talked about 4 different kinds of love. The good, the bad, the ugly. We just need to have more love in the world. We just need to have more just love. I feel like that's the answer. Love, communication, and understanding will fix our world as we know it.
Yes.
I think that'll fix it right there. Have to be able to communicate with one another. We have to understand one another's perspectives. My perspective is going to be different from everyone else's perspective in this world. My reality is going to be different. And once we understand that, I can love you if you're a Christian. I can love you if you're a Buddhist, a Baptist. I can love you if you're a Muslim. It doesn't matter.
Right, those are just titles.
I love you because you're just you.
That's right.
Just the same way as I love the ants and I love the trees. I understand that we all play a part in this big scheme of things. If you take away the ants, if you take away certain things out of nature, we would die. We couldn't live without trees. We couldn't live, certain plants couldn't live without the ants boring the holes in the ground. You have to appreciate everything, because without the ants boring the holes, it wouldn't be enough oxygen for certain plants. They would die, and then there would be certain consequences on us in the way we live.
That's right.
Certain things in the sea, like jellyfish, eat up certain bacteria that wouldn't allow us to eat certain foods out of the sea. And we have to start looking at life and appreciating and loving all of that.
That's right.
The same. People, animals, Going outside and just being appreciative of the sun coming up.
Mm.
You go outside and it's a starry night outside. Just look up and give thanks for you and what you got going on at that moment. And just be thankful for you, your kids, your house, your car. If your car a piece of shit, the old song say, be thankful for what you got. Shit. You may not have a diamond in the back, sunroof top, dig in the scene with the gangster lean.
Ooh, ooh.
Just be thankful.
Be thankful.
Just be thankful for
Have
everything.
gratitude for it all. Every day is a gift. These material things that we have in this world, we are unable to take these things with us.
Right.
However, you take care of what you got, though, right? Before we run out here, ready to run out here and get the next. Be appreciative for the moments that you have, because there's somebody out there that's not getting these moments.
Right. The most important thing that you should love out of all of that is love God and love your fucking self.
Love yourself.
Love yourself. Love yourself unconditionally.
That's right.
Forgive yourself. There's a lot of us hold around weight and things that happen to us, the life happened to us, and we just unable to forgive ourselves. And forgive yourself. Look in the mirror, man. Just forgive. You're not that person anymore. It's okay to move on. The past is the past. And if you really look at it, there's no such thing as the past or the future. You only have that moment that you're living in now.
You only have now.
You have never lived a tomorrow, and you have never lived the past. So accept the past for what it is. Pick yourself up. Learn from it. What lessons did you gain out of it?
And get some key takeaways. Get some
earlier,
key takeaways.
I spoke of my mom, and her passing. What could I take out of her passing? What positive could I take out of that? And it took me up until last year, almost 17 years later, to see that the positive in her passing is it was just, first of all, just meant to be. But the positive in it is it forced me to move out of town. By me moving out of town, I was able to meet my wife. By me meeting my wife, I was able to get custody of my kids. By getting custody of my kids, I was able to become the great father that I always wanted to be. So I was able to look at it like, okay, yes, I wish he was here, but look at what happened because of that. It just had to happen that way. I would have never left town if she would have still been alive. I would have never left her side. That's just period. So
that also brought awareness to you as well, because you developed in other ways. It was cancer that she passed away from. So it makes you stay alert, and it made you also learn about the health and wellness, because having knowledge of the things that we eat and what's eating our body from the inside with the foods that we're consuming, of how to combat these things so that you have the knowledge to take care of your vessel. So there were so many different takeaways of things to have learned.
It is.
Just from life. Yeah, always. It's always a positive in something. Even if it's something out of our control, it still comes back to our control, because it's how we handle the situation after, what we choose to do with it for the best outcome for us, or the best outcome, period. Right?
And that's it. That's what we got. Well, just remember,
always have gratitude.
Always have gratitude. Love yourself. Love God. Love your neighbors. Have brotherly love. Parent love. Godly love. All the love that we need. Just have all that.
Yes. So let's go ahead and wrap them up for everybody. We brought you Philia, which is the brotherly love. We brought you Storge, which is the parent to child, motherly love, the fatherly love, the sibling love.
Mm-hmm.
We brought you eros, which is the erotic love. And then we brought you agape, the foundation of all the loves, the godly love, the unconditional love, like Tupac said. Unconditional love.
That's what he said.
Unconditional love.
That's what he said.
You will always be in my heart. Unconditional love.
All right, so let's wrap this up. That's been another episode of the Melanated Perspective. I am your host, J.R. King.
And I'm your host, Natasha Jonelle. Peace.